Welcome to the DIY3DTech.com channel.
Welcome to this edition of DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the G-code generated for the XYZprinting Vinci 2.0. So, while there's been a lot of stuff done out there on the 1.0, the 2.0 is the dual extruder version of the 1.0. It has a little bit different size bed and a little bit different size operating dimensions. And so, with this, kind of wanted to take this apart if you've been following along in the last two episodes, we've been looking at, we've looked at the back of the Vinci 2.0, excuse me. We've cut out an opening so we can remove the card. We're going to add a card extender there. And we've also looked at what's on the SD card. So one of the things, though, that I wanted to do in reverse engineering this a little bit more is I went in and I set up a repetier host and I set up Slicer. For some reason, everybody on the internet saying Cura has problems working with the Vinci, so I figured I'd stick with a known, so I used Slicer, even though Cura's, I think, more preferred in my opinion. However, I took an STL model which I had printed through XYZprinting, and this is over here. So this is thumb screws for camera slider G-code. So I've done this actually for both. So my offline print code, because remember when we took a look at the SD card, basically it takes the feed from XYZ printing software and creates a scratch file, if you will, on the SD card for that. And so what we did is I did that. I printed it off successfully, removed the card, and here is the file. And again, you can see up here, the name of the file that I created in XYZprinting's slicing software, and you can see the header. And then over here, I created the same thing in Slicer. Took the same STL, put it in there. I used general parameters I found on the internet for Slicer and the DaVinci. Now, what I will share is, I will do another video once I figure this all out with the Slicer settings and things like that. So I don't want to go into the settings I use for Slicer just yet, because I have no clue if it'll work. So I just wanted to compare these and reverse engineer, because I don't think the file header for the DaVinci 1.0 or the 1A's will work with the 2.0, and here's why. So as I go through and I look at this, we have a few more pieces in the header file up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use this header file for starters. However, one of the interesting things that I see is the T1 command. So this is the tool 1 command. So I'm wondering if this is XYZ printing on the DaVinci 2.0 is using the T command to set the extruder head, because you don't see the T command used in the 1.0, any of the 1.0 G code. So I think this needs to be put in there. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that, okay, so I've got the G92, so this seems to be the start of my code, and over here seems to be the same. So I think this is what I'm going to use for my starting point. So and then basically M82, G90, all of these are in G21 set to millimeters, the 107. So all this appears to be in this heading. Now, one of the things I am going to reuse over here, though, is setting the bed temperature and setting the extruder temperature. And also, I need to check over here because notice, see, okay, T1. So setting, basically I have T0 and then I have T1. And I believe this is right and this is left, because when I printed, I used the left extruder. And so it appears the left extruder is T1 and the right is T0. So I'm going to modify this G code over here to deal with that and move it over here, because one of the things I want to do is see if I can get the bed excuse me, on the 2.0 to warm up a bit more than it is under the standard, because I'm having a lot of warping issues because it's only reaching about 60 degrees C, where my 1.0 is reaching 90 degrees C, so there's a 30-degree delta. I think the plastic extrusion temperature is okay. It could be, I think, a little bit warmer. However, one of the things I've seen from reading the internet posts is you cannot, or you're not able to, in GCode, force a temperature setting higher than its basic temperature setting or its intrinsic temperature on the cartridge itself. So apparently somehow it reads that, and I think this is one of the reasons that the this is commented out with the semicolons. So basically, I think somehow XYZ Ware uses these comments. So again, I'm not sure why it would actually transfer these to the G-code unless there's some sort of checksum between these. Now, I haven't been able to do a base 64 decode of the file, so this is coming off the cart, so this is the only way I'm getting it. Now, I have been able to do a base 64 encode of a file with a header and import it into XYZ Ware as a 1.0 utilizing the stuff I've got on the internet. I have not been able to do that yet for the 2.0, and that's again the reason for this experiment, and I wanted to share this so you can see how it works, and if there's some hackers out there that are better than I, and I'm sure there's quite a few because I'm kind of old and rusty at this, maybe you see something that I don't see. So anyways, this is basically what I'm going to do. Now at the end, if I go at the end of this file, it seems to be pretty basic, and let's go. Now in the end, it seems that Slicer puts a whole bunch of junk. Now I just take all this stuff out. However, one of the interesting things is after the 107, it does a 104 to turn off the temperature. That's probably a good thing. I don't see that here, so I'm not sure how the temperature goes off. So this is one of the things I have to caution. If you're going to do this, you're venturing into some potentially unsafe territory. So make sure you understand what you're doing. The other thing is this home x-axis. Slicer is homing the x-axis, where the similar G28X0 command, I don't see it here. Again, I just see a G92E0, and basically G1. So I one of the things that I think, or that I've been seeing on the internet, is that the regular, because the Vinci's work backwards. So in other words, the print bed moves down as it's built, where most Perusas, etc., the print head moves up. So intrinsically, it's moving out of the way as it goes up. So there's no command in here to lower the bed to a position, so I got to take a look. I'm a little bit rusty at the G codes. I'm thinking that something in here after the G92E0 needs to be added. I remember Chuck Hellebuck on his channel talking about adding something in his reflashed version of the 1.0 to move the bed down, and so I'm going to take a look at that, so keep that in mind. The other thing to know is over here. You see this where I'm kind of got my mouse hovering, this blank line. You cannot have any blank lines. So I tried some stuff last night after the last video, and it failed miserably. The printer kept restarting itself. So I went to Google and I found the answer relatively quick. Any blank lines in the G code causes the printer to reset. So you have to make sure you remove all the blank lines. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of compare these, because so I've got this G1 command, so I'm going to try some stuff in here, and I'm going to try pasting this header, and I'm going to see where I get. The other piece that if I do go into Slicer, the other thing I want to mention is I need to find the extruder offset. I haven't found that yet on the internet. Hopefully somebody's already worked that up, and so I can just add that for the heads. Right now I'm just going to be trying one head. However, what I wanted to show is this custom G-code. So you can put in a start G-code, you can put in an end G-code, and you can kind of see here how the end G-code, where it's coming up with this. And so one of the things that, if this all works out, I plan on doing is put my prefix G-code all in here and all my suffix G-code in here. And then so when I slice it, I can just save it, and technically everything or the majority should be there, and I only have to do minor editing in in Notepad. And that's the other thing here is I've got Notepad over here, and you really need Notepad, because one of the things you need to do is to save this off. You need to do a Control A to select all, and then basically go down here. I use that word basically again. I think it's the first time in this video. Trying to really stop using that word. I overuse it. So you go to Plugin Commands, Base64 Encode, and boom, what happens. Now, what I did, just for grins and giggles, since we're all friends here and we're kind of talking, so let's load in the 3W file. All right, so we've loaded this in, and see all this garbage here. Well, basically, this is the encoded file. Now, what I do is if I hit Control A to select it all, and then I right-click on it. Now, let's see. Maybe this will make me a liar. Maybe it won't. So I'm going to use Base64 decode, and length of selected text, not including ALL, to be decoded is invalid. Should be mod 4. I have no clue what that is, and I haven't had time to Google it. So, hey, if you know what this is, leave me a comment below, or what I'm doing wrong. I would really like to know, because what I'd like to see is the 3W file before it gets processed by XYZ Ware, to reverse engineer that a little bit. So anyways, I'm going to click OK there. The other thing that I did want to show, and I've got the card file here, as I do want to go to C, program files, x86, XYZ Ware. One of the things, x64. So I'm not sure. Test DLL 64. I think this is where I think this is the DLL section it's using for the Base64 encryption. So I still think that, but there's another one for x86. And I'm wondering if that is not, if this isn't, and again, I am not an expert on encoding. However, I'm really wondering if this isn't encoded in x86, if there is a base x86 plugin or something. Again, please let me know down below, because again, I'd really like to reverse engineer this. So anyways, hopefully this helped. If it did, give it a thumbs up. Follow along in this project. Again, if I bored you, I'm sorry. Again, I just kind of want to share where I'm going with this, in case somebody else has been there, can let me know, don't go here, go there. Or if you haven't and you kind of want to follow in these footsteps and do this yourself. Now, again, I had to take the card out to get this information, so I had to cut the hole in the side of the printer. Technically, if this all works out, you don't have to cut the hole inside your printer. You can just slice it in an external program, load it into XYZ Ware, and then send it to your printer and should print, which would be very cool, because again, I really like the Vinci printers. For what they are. They're not perfect printer, but for the price, they're really a good printer. However, there are some downfalls. And again, if you want to get more particular, and what I'm very interested in is doing small run fabrication. And the Vinci, quite frankly, is not good enough for, I would say, small run fabrication. The resolution in that are just not there. It's excuse me, I don't believe it's the machine. You're looking at the machine is relatively quality built, again, for the money. There are better out there, but so what this leaves me to believe is it's in the software. And you know, because the 3D printer is actually a very simple product. It moves X, Y, and Z axis so long as the resolution is adequate and accurate, which I believe the Vinci is, and it just extrudes filament through a specific size nozzle. So this is all very basic stuff, and the mechanics are there. So I really believe it's in the craft software, because the magic really happens in how the math is handled in the slicing. So if I can get this working reasonably well, then I can achieve that goal. So, and you may ask the question, well, why don't you just reflash it? Well, I might do that. I might get to that point. I just got the 1.0. It's under warranty, so I don't want to hack that up. The 2.0 is basically out of warranty or very close. I've had it for about a year now. And so if something happens to it, I'm a little bit less concerned, because I've gotten my relative enjoyment. The bad part, though, is there's not a lot out there on the 2.0s. And that's, again, part of the reason I'm doing this, is to share this, because this is all 2.0 based. And I think some of it's reusable on the 1, but there's already a good body of work out there on the 1. So, I like the idea of how it works in general. I just want to have more flexibility in it, and use different slicers. I don't even mind the cartridges, to be honest with you. I mean, I think the XYZ printing plastic is middle of the road and okay. So I have no problem there. It's just I need a little bit more flexibility, and I really wish that XYZ Ware would open up a little bit of that, have an advanced tab, advanced users, even charge for it. I would be even happy to pay, 25, maybe $50 for an advanced version of their software that allows me to set more options in it. And again, I think that a little bit of their fear is, then, newbies will get that and start asking questions, or because this and that isn't working. And that's always the downfall, but so is life. So, and that's why I would say, pay that extra money for the support fees, and even call it an unsupported feature, and make your money. So, but anyways, I've rambled long enough. If this helped you out, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Stay tuned, because one of the things I'm going to do is I am going to take and paste this header in. I'm going to create a 3W file. I'm going to go back over to the 2.0. I'm going to import it. And as I've said, I've already printed a 1 out using the XYZ Ware. I am going to attempt to print out another one using Slicer, and let's see how the two look, and let's see how it performs. So cheers, and I'll see you